Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about the liberal mentality and think about what it is. What is it? Why are these people behaving this way? Why do they believe what they believe and all that? And if you think about it, all these liberal policies and stuff, left-wing, Democrat, whatever you want to call it, they really create a lot of pain and death. All this sweeping, broad immigration, right? And these people flood into these Western civilization countries, and they commit murder and rape and all this other stuff. And now when that happens, these liberals, they can't admit that their policies were the cause of that death and pain. So they have to they can't backtrack. They have to just continue on. They have to, not only that, they have to get other people to believe what they believe. So other people won't see them as monsters, creating this death, right? Even if they were well-meaning in the beginning, everyone deserves to go wherever they want and do whatever they want, people came from Europe over here to America back in, 16 whatever, or 14 whatever, whenever, and it was, so we should just let everybody come over here anytime they want and do whatever they want to us. And this kind of mentality, it breeds death and pain. And once that comes out, once the product of those policies come out, they can't admit that. They just can't say, oh yeah, no, yeah, I know that I'm responsible for all that, and I was wrong. Sorry, all you people who lost loved ones. Sorry, all the victims of all these crimes. My bad. They can't do that because, murder and rape and all this stuff are just too horrifying of crimes. They can't admit that they were in any way involved in that, even secondhand. So they have to keep just pushing forward and denying that the crimes are even happening, right? And it's the same thing with this whole trans thing. Once a parent mutilates their child, or takes their child to a doctor to be mutilated and destroys the child's life, just for their own sanity, they have to stick with that. They can't backtrack on that later on, 5-10 years down the road and say, oh, my bad. I destroyed my child's life, my children's lives. I'm a horrible person, basically a monster with just delusions, and I'm just running around destroying lives of my own children. They can't do that. Literally for their own sanity, they've got to keep driving on. And then that liberal community, if they change their mind, there's more pressure to not change your mind and not backtrack and not start thinking and using common sense, because then you'll get ostracized from that community. And then you're out there with all just normal thinking people who know you're a monster, right? So you can't be ostracized from that community, so you have to keep pushing that groupthink, and just for your own sanity, you have to keep pushing that groupthink, and that by necessity, you have to get everyone around you to believe you're good for mutilating your child, or for facilitating massive illegal immigration and all these different things that are horrible for humanity, horrible for individuals, just horrible. Now and these people, they don't come together and talk about how horrible they are. You know what I mean? They just push the propaganda. They push the lies and talk about how horrible everyone else is for not being monsters, for not demanding higher taxes because the weather's changing and all this weird shit, the whole liberal thing. And that gets me thinking, the liberal thing, like liberal, Democrat, and leftist, all those are just interchangeable now, right? They're all just interchangeable. You know who you're talking about. You get a picture of your head of some feminist woman screaming because Trump got elected, or some blue-haired, person with a nose ring and a man bun or whatever. And it's just that whole thing. They're all in one solitary group over there. Now, but everyone else who is not in that group, now they insist that we're right? We're right wing. If they say we're either right or alt-right, right? They don't even acknowledge libertarians and constitutionalists and all these other groups of belief and patriotism out here. It's just right to them. But us who aren't in that leftist groupthink kind of weird thing over there, we recognize each other as different groups. You got your far right, you got your libertarians and your constitutionalists and your, just free thinking human beings who love freedom and America. Patriots, which a lot of us are. So that just struck me as weird that anybody can say left, Democrat, or liberal, and that does include all of them, right? That those words just mean the same thing now. But over here, a constitutionalist can be different than a libertarian or a right wing, or you know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's just a random thought that went through my head. And another thing I noticed was that I follow like patriots from England and Australia and Canada online, on the different social media platforms. And a British guy posted a thing about how they were actually going to start deporting. They didn't call it deporting. They had another word for it. I forget what it is now. But actually going to start deporting some of these immigrants that are committing crimes over there. And I made just like a neutral remark, hey, I'm happy for your country or something, Just tried to support that post or whatever. And there was just a deluge of hate toward my post, my comment from British people over there. And I was like, what the hell? And so I answered back a couple of them, and they bring up the same crap that I've already talked about in previous videos about you moved over there, are you coming back to England? You took that from the Native Americans and all that stuff. And I was like, and I answered back with just common sense stuff, that, yeah, the Native Americans made a mistake by letting us come over here. So we're not going to make the same mistake. We deport them over here. We get rid of them scumbags. They commit crimes over here. They go. Yeah, we're not making the same mistake they are. We're not making the same mistake you are. And then after that, after I started, responding to a couple of them like that, it was just a complete avalanche of vitriol and hatred. And it really made me think, because I rarely comment on other countries, other patriots when they post. I'll like the post or whatever, but I rarely comment because I'm not really informed on other countries and their laws and stuff. So I rarely comment. But in the American patriots that I follow on the same platforms, I see them make posts, and it's really mixed but there's a lot of of conservative, just free thinking people who are supporting them. You know, that post that guy made had no support. It was like just a bunch of leftists were stalking his account and just waiting for someone to make a comment, you know what I mean? And it was just dozens and dozens of people jumped in there from the left, which doesn't really happen too much on an American account. It'll be both. It'll be an argument, a debate, you know, about the weather or whatever, you know, immigration, whatever. It's always equal, but there's a lot of support for it too. But from what I saw, it was just this guy made this post, and then it was just an avalanche of hatred over there in England. So that really surprised me. I thought there would be a lot more support, like there, you know, for that kind of conservative stuff, like there is here in America. And take that with a grain of salt, because that was my very limited experience. So it could have been a one-off thing, you know. I might be just taking my sample size might be way too small to be making an overall judgment about the entire British population. So I'm not doing that. And then another thing is that just a day or two ago, another Saudi Arabian or something drove a car into a crowd in Germany. That's like the fifth time that's happened in the last 9 months, where somebody from the Middle East has driven a car into a crowd in the country of Germany and killed a bunch of people. And these people, these leftists, they have to support that stuff. They either have to support it or they have to admit that they are evil. I mean, what do you do? They you know, and then all of your whole entourage there, your whole little clique, your little clan is all supporting it, supporting all this immigration, supporting all this cultural warfare on your own culture, on your own people. I don't get that. I don't understand how anybody could even. I do kind of with the younger people, but you know, they're indoctrinated from kindergarten all the way up. But for anyone born pre-2000, I would say you should have some thinking ability. And I don't know. Those are the ones that I really have a problem with. The older people, 30 and older, who are still, you know, die-hard leftists, destroy America, destroy Western civilization, all this stuff. And it's really difficult to watch it sometimes. But if left unchecked, that kind of woke mind virus will spread, because, like I said, the people can't give it up. They have to indoctrinate. They have to indoctrinate new people to believe. Anybody they come in contact with, they've got to make them believe that in that leftist mentality, because they want them to believe that they are good people, right? If I am burning down trees, then I want everybody to believe that burning down trees is a good thing, because I've already done it, right? I'm doing it. So it's either that or admit that I'm a monster for burning down these trees. I like burning down trees. I'm a weirdo. I'm a psycho. You know, I need help. I need mental, you know, some kind of mental help somewhere. Restructuring or something, you know what I mean? And that's where these leftists are stuck in. That's that thing that these leftists are stuck in. They're unable to admit that they need help, because some of the things they're doing are so horrifying. I'm talking about death and mutilation and this shit. It's gone so far that these people, when they adopt it and they start acting on this stuff and supporting this stuff, that they literally become monsters. You cannot support massive death, abortion, mutilation of children, rape, all this stuff, and and then not be a monster. So then if you become a monster, now you have to make everybody else believe that being a monster is okay. That's good, right? So everybody who speaks out against that is questioning your humanity. They're questioning your soul. Not just questioning ideas like we do with each other. If you believe whatever you believe, I don't care, believe it. No skin off my nose. We have fun. We can talk about it and go our separate ways, have a beer over it, and hey, that was a good point you made there, But if you make a good point to a leftist after they've, contributed to mass murder and all this stuff, it's an attack on them. It's an attack on their the goodness, their goodness, their basic humanity. So that is why they push back so hard and why they cling on so hard to that. And they must indoctrinate more and more people. They must convince you that they're not monsters. They must convince you that, that mutilating children is healthy. That's not mutilating children. That's gender health, whatever. You know what I mean? And they manipulate the horrifying things that they're doing, and they manipulate it with this vanilla language. They're not illegal aliens. They're migrants. They just migrate around. They're not stealing jobs and reducing our wages and all that stuff. They're just innocent migrants, right? They come here, and because America is such a great place and their country's such a shithole, but they come here and then they wave the flag of origin here and denounce the American flag and want to burn it and stomp on it and shit. But they're just migrants, right? They're not illegal. It's not an invasion. Millions and millions of people coming here to rob, steal, pillage, lower wages, all this stuff, and that's not an invasion. That's just migration. And that's what it is. Gender affirmation care. That's the thing that they call the child mutilation. Gender affirmation care. That sounds so wonderful, and so it brings pictures of your mind of flowers and clouds and just sunny breezes, not suicide and depression and all this shit that comes after it, the reality of it. So yeah, they manipulate the language to soften what they're doing and to make it palatable and to convince people that they're not monsters. When in reality, everything they support, even if they don't do it directly, even if they don't take the little kid's hand and walk them into the doctor's office and, watch the doctor put them to sleep while they do this stuff, just supporting that, voting in favor of that shit is monstrous. And there's just no way to get around that. You can't support that crap. You can't support serial killers. You can't support anything that harms people, consciously and intentionally harms people. You can't support it. If it's bad, you vote against it. If the people who are supporting bad stuff with vanilla, soft language, you vote against them. Period. End of story. If not, then you need to look deeper into your soul and do some searching and find out why you feel the need to support this kind of stuff. because a lot of that stuff, a lot of the leftist mentality too, is very short-sighted, right? No, migration, the migration. It's migration. It's just people coming across. But what are the ramifications for years and decades and generations of all of this migration? With the lower wages and the inflation from the giving all the money to house these people in these luxury hotels and putting all these SNAP benefits on these cards for these people. Now, our children and our grandchildren are going to be paying for that shit for years and years to come. Well, long after we're dead, they're going to be paying for it. Because their dollar is going to be worth shit. Our dollar's worth shit now because of all the stuff they did when we were kids. All the money they spent when we were kids on all these useless wars. And that's another thing, in that we're not spending billions of dollars on war. We're not, sending innocent lives into the meat grinder of war. We're protecting democracy. We're defending democracy. Okay? We're defending democracy by eliminating elections. We're just installing this president for the foreseeable future because, we need democracy. Another softening of the language. And don't get me wrong, I'm pro-war. I am. I'm pro-war. Give me a war. Hey, if it's a valid, real reason for war, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, if we need a real reason to fight a war because we're defending our Constitution, not just the vague, ephemeral, democracy. We're defending democracy and installing a puppet president for the next, 20 years for democracy that you don't get the choice to elect. You don't get to vote, but this is for democracy. It's so insane, the language manipulation. And it's so transparent once you just look at it. It's transparent. And that's another thing that the leftists must stand behind, right? They can't backtrack on that. Even though thousands and thousands of people are dying in a war, that's okay because that's in the name of democracy. That's okay. I can't change my mind on that and admit that thousands of people died because I supported some bullshit, because I was wrong. So I must by force, to maintain my own sanity, my dignity, my soul, I must indoctrinate everybody around me and eject anyone who raises questions about that. Eject them from the group. Because, they might make me question my humanity. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll put that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I'll put that link down in the description too. Thank you very much for those of you who do that. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X things and Gen X branded stuff. T-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, hoodies, all kinds of cool stuff. But I'll leave that link down in the description as well. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out a lot. Thank you very much to those of you who do that. I sincerely appreciate it. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.